Once upon a time, there was a lonely apple farmer. You see, he had great produce and he was really proud of the delicious apples that he grew in his farm. But every day when he would try and sell his apples, he got a bit dejected. He'd load up his cart and he'd wheel it around the corner to the road just outside of his farm. It was a quiet country road and not many people passed by. So even though he had a beautiful sign that his wife made with paint and wood and a nice cart full of fresh, delicious apples, nobody was stopping to buy them. And very few people were even seeing that beautiful sign and licking their lips when they saw his delicious apples for sale at a really great price. He wasn't sure what to do, and then finally one of his friends, who's a farmer nearby, told him, "Hey, come to the farmer's market on the weekend." So he brought that apple cart into town, set up his sign, and suddenly people started talking. He made friends with customers. They were asking him where he's from. They realized he wasn't from far, and that endeared him to them. They were really proud that they were buying from a nearby farmer, and they wanted to tell their friends. Every week he came back, his lineup grew, and more people came to buy his apples. Other sellers started talking about the farmer who has the best apples in town and where people could go to find his stall over there at the farmer's market. Come back every week. He's here every week. Everybody was in love with these apples, and they kept telling people, whether they were other sellers or whether they were customers. And pretty quickly, our lonely apple seller was no longer lonely, and he couldn't sell his apples slow enough. They were flying off his cart, and every week he kept thinking of ways to bring more apples from his farm to market. So the moral of this story is something that we don't pay attention to enough in business. Most companies are actually terrible at helping people become brand ambassadors. So customers who love your products and services, well, they might not feel compelled to spread word of mouth, or they might not even feel enabled to spread word of mouth. So companies don't typically create the events that they need to socialize their products and services, and they don't use video to tell the stories about who they are, what they do, and why they love doing it. Of course, videos being the new farmer's market, of course, for your digital business. You see, you're not an apple farmer unless you are an apple farmer, and then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. For the most part, though, this kind of story comes from watching clients, because here at Startwell in downtown Toronto, we've hosted thousands of meetings and events, all for corporate clients in our downtown location on King Street West. And out of those thousands and thousands of people who have been here, we've hosted hundreds of companies and helped them realize how they can activate their brand and grow brand connectivity through IRL experiences, and use those experiences to then, exponentialize word of mouth using content online. Word of mouth is one of the easiest ways to drive business outcomes, yet it's one of the most misunderstood facets of business. Once you understand how to help people become brand advocates, everything changes. Everything gets easier, and amazing opportunities will suddenly present themselves without you having to throw apples at passersby on the street just to get their attention. The community flywheel is an approach that invites people into your story, empowers them to tell your story, engages your story with the larger world, and frees up your energy so you can spend more time actually doing what you love, like farming apples, and spend less time worrying about why people aren't buying those apples. So in this series of videos, we'll do a deep dive into what corporate events are all about how how you can use them to create experiences that drive word of mouth for your brand. And you'll also learn how to strategically create content from those experiences, which expand your brand's reach even further and organically spreads word of mouth online. So subscribe to the channel for updates in the video series all about community flywheels and how to start using them to help your company. And if you have a moment, I'd highly recommend checking out my Corporate Events 101 so you can get a deep understanding of what events are in business and how you can start thinking about applying strategy to being able to use them to help you.